Getting a new client is hard. You go from being a complete stranger to someone that someone trusts enough to pay money to every single week. That's a big journey. So when a long-term client leaves, it's frustrating because that's a lot of work done that you can't get back. And the worst bit is they often don't tell you why they've decided to stop PT. And in most cases, unfortunately, it was completely preventable. Before we get into it, here's something that's worth burning into your brain. Keeping a client is much easier than getting a new one, always. To keep a client, all you have to do is look after the relationship you already have. You know they can afford PT, you know they want PT, you know they value PT, you know you get along with the person, right? You don't have to go through any of these qualifications with that client, but with a brand new client you do. So make sure you foster that relationship. That's the key. So always remember, the most valuable clients in your business are the ones you already have, not the ones that you don't know yet. Now, some churn is completely normal. Personal training is a luxury. I admit that. Not everybody can afford personal training long term, right? And realistically, if you're a good trainer, after 3 to 6 months, the client should be able to quit PT and be self-sufficient. If they want to continue after that, great. Perfect, everybody wins. However, they should have enough skill and understanding after that period of time to be able to go and do it on their own. But there's a difference between a client who leaves because they're ready to train solo and one who leaves because something quietly stopped working within the service and just neither of you ever addressed it. I've had clients train with me before for 1, 2, 3 years. You feel like you build a good relationship with them and then out of nowhere, boom, gone. No explanation why, but they didn't want to train with me anymore. And every time that's happened, upon reflection, I think to myself, I'm not sure I was really checking in enough with them. You know, as a personal trainer, it's very easy to almost get lost in your own bravado. And I don't mean that in the typical sense of bravado, but just in the training program, in the progress, like in how well they're doing from your perspective. But we often don't stop to ask, what is their perspective? What do you think? What do you like, dislike, enjoy, not enjoy? What's your opinion? Do you see the progress we're making? Are you happy with the progress we're making? Is there something that we want to focus on? What can I do better as your trainer? I want to be the best trainer possible. What can I do better to make this session even more effective and better and more enjoyable for you? Ask these questions. These are like gold dust. These questions alone will make you more money than any like sales question I could ever give you, because it allows you to keep your clients longer. Most clients and people in general do not like confrontation or awkward conversations. So when something stops working within a service, as in this case, personal training, obviously, they're reluctant to like engage with it because it could very well be a criticism of you as a trainer. They don't like to criticize. They know that you probably don't like to receive criticism. And as a result, it just never really like gets resolved. And then it gets to a point where you're deep enough into the service and the client has decided unilaterally that the money is too much for what they're getting. There's not a fair value exchange anymore. But rather than sitting you down and having a conversation with you, they would rather just quietly walk away, drift away, maybe even ghost you. That way they don't have to have that conversation and they can just start fresh with someone else. But we need to make sure we avoid that. I'd be recommending that you check in with every client once a month. And not just a casual, how are you getting on in the middle of the session. I mean, sitting them down maybe at the start of a session for 15 minutes or 10 minutes, or completely separate to the session, and getting a clear understanding of all the things I've just said. What do you like, not like, enjoy, not enjoy? Get that feedback. That feedback, then it literally informs you what you need to do to make your service better. The same way that in sales, you cannot sell a solution if you don't know the problem. It starts with questions. It always starts with questions. Once you get your information, you then know what to sell. Once you get your feedback, you then know what to improve. It's always about asking questions, extracting information, and then from there, it informs exactly what you need to do next. The other thing that's so important to remember about asking for feedback is it makes the client feel like the star of the show. It makes them feel like the boss, like the daddy, right? That is so important because you might laugh, you might think it's a bit silly, but if you're paying for something, you want to be treated like the boss. I do anyway, right? And I think most people do. People do not like to be taken for a ride. They don't like to be mugged off. They want to know that if they're paying for something, you're going to be honest, you're going to have integrity, and you're going to be good. You're actually going to do good. You're going to do a good job, and you're going to remember that the one paying is in charge. Whoever's paying is in charge, right? So let them be in charge, right? To an extent, obviously you're the coach, you're the guide. But if they've got feedback, you need that feedback. You need it. Because without that, you are blind. You're just doing whatever you want to do. But it's not about you. That's the problem. It's not about you. Your training is about you. Their training is about them. There's another thing that you can do to improve client retention that has nothing to do with feedback. And that's progress tracking. Your clients originally came to you for a reason. They wanted a solution to a problem they have. That problem, often, they want to lose some fat, they want to get stronger, they've got back pain, whatever it is, right? But then you train with them month after month after month. We start to get closer towards a year. Has anybody, number one, documented the progress they've made? Has the discussion happened about the progress they've made? And again, I want to be clear, whenever I'm talking about these serious discussions, not in the middle of a session, right? At the beginning, separate or completely separate, on a phone call or just go for a coffee, not in the middle of them doing an interval session. But when it comes to progress, you need to be able to track what's going on. Not because it's the professional thing to do, because it allows you to show the client how far they've come. And there's not that much more motivating in life than progress. Making progress, looking back on the progress you've made, progress. That's what lights us up. That's what gets us excited. That's what thinks, all right, let me push another week, another month. Come on, let me see how much further I can go. That's really like what gets humans going. So the idea of you PTing someone for a long period of time and tracking nothing and purely going from your own memory, because remember, your client will remember everything differently to you, and they also don't often know what's going on in the session. They don't know a Bulgarian split squat or a reverse lunge or an ipsilateral Bulgarian compared to a contralateral Bulgarian. They don't have a clue. They just think my leg hurts, right? So you need to be able to demonstrate this progress to your client, whether that be via video, from a spreadsheet, from a chart that you've made on Claude with all their workout notes. I don't care, right? But you've got to be able to speak about it with them and show them, actually show them, because that will motivate them massively and that will massively increase your retention. One thing I just want to finish up with is that it's really easy when you're working with a client for a long period of time for the lines to get blurred a little bit, for your clients to become your mates, your friends, right? That relationship becomes closer and closer, and it naturally will because of the nature of the job. However, one thing that I've learned throughout my career is it's very important, and I'm saying this as someone who's some of his best friends were originally cold calls, right? You have to make sure that for the period of time that they're paying you, you have to remember to do a professional and a good job. Don't take advantage because it's your mate. If they're paying you, they still expect a service, because people, they're not handing out personal training rates to charity on a frequent basis, right? They're not paying you because they like you. They're paying you because they still want a service. They may also like you, but that's independent. You need to make sure that you don't lose sight of that. You ask for feedback. You do your job properly. You show up on time, right? You're well presented. You treat them like the superstar in the session, not you. You don't talk about yourself too much. It's about them. It's all about them. Once you really like apply that mindset, that's when you see your retention start to rocket. With all the ideas I've given you in this video, if you're able to apply them consistently, you're gonna build the kind of reputation where you very rarely have to go out and get new clients. And that is the hardest part of personal training. So you want to avoid that as much as you can. If you found this video helpful, then YouTube recommends that you watch this one next.